So I wanted to come on here and share with you what I call cauldron salt. Now this is a little lighter than I normally make it, but I also used a little bit of I used a different salt this time, and I didn't have as much of the blackening ingredients as I would normally put in, but I don't really care about the color so much. It's more about the ingredients themselves and the enchantment and how I can use them from there. So with this, and I made a lot just because I plan on using it quite a bit. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of read from my notes that I took in regards to making this, and I want to, there's two ingredients that I'm not going to be sharing with you. One's just kind of like, it's personal, but it could also be seen as, I don't know if controversial is the word, but it's gonna give me, I'm gonna get flack from people. So, that's why I'm not gonna share it, just because of that possible, you know, I just don't want to deal with it, quite frankly, you know. I got so much that I'm dealing with in my day-to-day life. I don't want to open the door for that either. Now I know by sharing things publicly, you risk that anyway, but you know what I mean. When you share things that people don't understand or whatever, and they just decide to take it the wrong way or whatever, I just don't want to deal with that drama, quite frankly. You know, I just want it to be a simple sharing video where I share with you what it is I use this for. And so that's why, and because it's also a personal ingredient, that's another reason why I don't want to share, because if it does get taken the wrong way or whatever, I don't want to feel like I'm being attacked about something that's personal and sacred to me, you know what I mean? And the other one, it's just kind of like, kind of along the lines of a secret ingredient to the recipe type of deal. It's kind of something that really puts oomph in here. But you can still get a lot of power just from the other ingredients, and of course your own intention and all that good stuff. So I wanted to just share with you my batch. Now, I mean my recipe. Now, cauldron salt is basically, I have two salts that are kind of confusing. So cauldron salt is basically black salt. So it's either witch's salt, black salt, or witch's black salt. That's what my cauldron salt basically is. However, I have another salt that I call witch's salt, but that is something that was inspired by what you could find under the name as 7-day salt. I do it a little differently, but it's relatively the same thing. And that's what I would normally use. That's weird, I didn't write that ingredient here. That's what I would normally use as the salt base ingredient, but this time I used Himalayan salt. So it kind of has the added properties of Himalayan salt instead of what I would use as witch's salt. So this one's a little different this time around, but other than that, it's going to do roughly the same things. So, overall, this is great for protection, both breaking and casting maleficium, which includes jinxes, curses, hexes. This is also great for purification, and purification more specifically than cleansing. And I'm going to do a video at some point talking about the differences between two, but this is, cauldron salt's also good for transforming chi, correction. The transforming chi component comes from that secret ingredient. So if you can find any ingredient that has a correspondence to transformation or transmutive work, then you can put that in there. Because the ingredients that I'm sharing, as far as I know, don't have that trying to kind of taking negativity and turning it into positivity type of action. But also great for uncrossing, exorcism, and absorbing negativity. I knew I was forgetting one. So, the ingredients I use is obviously, typically it's witch's salt. I'll use like a base of witch's salt. And there's really no rhyme or reason in the measurements. I guess you could say that I use 2 parts of ash, or I call it cauldron ash, which actually you could use cauldron ash as the transforming ingredient. I forgot about that. So that's what one of the things that gives it the transformative factor, but that secret ingredient kind of gives it a punch in that transformation, and it's almost like an alchemist in a jar type of thing. But you could technically use the cauldron salt, cauldron ash, excuse me. This is one of the reasons why I call it cauldron salt, because when I would burn things in the cauldron, I've had this ash left, and I decided to use that as my blackening ingredient, and it has the potent purification and transformation properties to it. I just added the black peppercorn and the controversial ingredient to this. Black peppercorn is great for banishing, exorcism, uncrossing, hexing, cursing your enemies, also jinxing. You also got the sage, which is, it adds in that purification process and also protection. And then you got the cayenne pepper, and now when the cayenne pepper I use, or I guess it's a red pepper, I use the cayenne pepper. I don't know where I was going with that. So never mind. But it's great for protection and breaking all maleficium. Like I said, maleficium is jinxes, curses, and hexes, those maledictions, those spells of ill intent, or at least just unpleasantry. Sometimes it's like a karmic retribution that could fall under maleficium, and sometimes it's like an egocentric revenge base. And then also you want to add sulfur. Sulfur also brings in that banishing and protection. It's also a really good amplifier in this sense. And so I usually will make this on a Saturday to kind of bring in those Saturn forces. And if I can, I'll do it on a, what's that say? A Saturnian hour. So there's hours for each day of the week. Not just the, noon to midnight, midnight to noon. Those are a little different. Planetary hours are not as calculated, or I guess you can calculate them, but they're not as precise, specific, same increment, same number of increments between each other. I don't feel like I'm explaining this correctly. It's kind of hard for me to explain it. So it's like there's 60 minutes in an hour. There's not necessarily that many minutes per each planetary hour. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll either do it then or on the dark moon. And then of course you can use match heads if you don't have sulfur. That's what I did this time. I have not yet purchased sulfur. I plan on doing it in the near to distant future, preferably the near future, but I don't think I'm going to need it anytime soon, so I'm just gonna stick to this. But I was actually I wanted to sprinkle some around not the property line, I guess you could say the line that separates my portion of the room with my roommates, and I just wanted to so when I did that, I realized, oh, the little note on here, which you can't really see it too much, but because it had one of the ingredients that I didn't want to share. It had the 2 ingredients I still need to add to it, so I was like, okay, let me get to that real quick. And now I'm gonna sprinkle this over there. I'm not gonna show you that because it's gonna be kind of shaky footage. Oh, what the hell, I'll show it anyway. Now if you're worried about it staining, maybe, well, first off, you don't want to put this on a light or white rug or any type of textile, just because it is potential for staining. With it being ash, though, it's not very likely that it would stain because it's such a fine powder, but, just take your precautions. You could also, if you're worried about it being too much, or like, I don't know, maybe being left behind or tracked around or anything like that, you could always vacuum it up. Now I'm just going to be sprinkling a little bit, just making a line, just to kind of create that barrier of protection and to kind of see how that does before I consider purchasing like some type of like curtain, because sometimes I like to have a little privacy, especially when I'm at my altar. I don't want to feel someone's eyes on me or whatever. You know, my roommate, he's fucking awesome. He's really nice. He's really supportive. Well, maybe not supportive, but he's respectful. That's the word I was looking for. But sometimes it would just be nice to, you know, feel secluded every now and then. So I want to see if this is going to give me what I want spiritually, or if it really is like a physical wall that I want to put up just every now and then, just kind of have some alone time, or to enhance that feeling of having alone time. But yeah, so I'm gonna get this ready and I'll be right back. I'm just gonna take like a little pinch. That should be good. Oh, you can't see that. And I'm just gonna take it over here and just kind of sprinkle it down. And this I'll let it go halfway, and then I'll do the other half. And then we'll just start like about here. And that should be it. And that's pretty much all you need to do, guys. So, yep, barrier's been created. And time to, let's show the altar. Time to kind of just go back, get ready to work. I gotta finish my laundry. Might see if I can do a little bit more organization, decluttering, because it's still a little bit of a mess here. But everything's starting to come together. Ain't that nice? Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy to have that again. Oh, and stay tuned. If I haven't already, I most likely will upload my, not purification oil, amethyst potion up, so that way you can, well, technically there's already been one up, but stay tuned for that. There's going to be another one about that potion that kind of talks about how I use it, and also one to talk about, boop, that rich witch powder. I'm going to talk about how I use that in my practice as well. So stay tuned. As always, abundant and eternal blessings. Mwah.